Amidst the vast expanse of the galaxy, countless human colonies thrived, their inhabitants living in peace and prosperity. Generations had passed since the initial exodus from their ancestral homeworld, Earth, a planet now shrouded in mystery and obscured by the sands of time. In one such colony, a young scientist named Alara diligently worked in the research facilities, her thirst for knowledge ever growing. Though she had been raised on tales of humanity's journey through the stars, the origins of her species remained a source of fascination for her. One day, while sifting through the archives, a peculiar entry caught Alara's eye. It spoke of an ancient database that contained information about the long-lost homeworld of humanity, Earth. Excitement and trepidation stirred within her as she delved deeper, uncovering fragments of history that had been buried for millennia. To Alara's astonishment, the database revealed that Earth had remained untouched for over 500,000 years, its advanced civilizations and technologies frozen in time. The implications were staggering. Her ancestors had possessed capabilities that far surpassed the current state of the galaxy. Driven by a burning curiosity, Alara began to meticulously piece together the fragmented information, unraveling the mysteries that surrounded Earth's disappearance from the collective memory of humanity. She discovered tales of grand expeditions, advanced terraforming techniques, and even hints of extraterrestrial contact. As Alara's understanding grew, so did her conviction that Earth held the key to unlocking humanity's true potential. However, the more she learned, the more apparent it became that there were powerful forces at play, determined to keep the knowledge of Earth hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Alara's colleagues, while admiring her dedication, expressed concerns about the potential ramifications of her research. They warned her of the dangers of delving too deeply into matters that had long been forgotten, fearing the wrath of the galactic powers that be. Undeterred, Alara continued her investigation, driven by an insatiable desire to uncover the truth. She pored over ancient records, deciphering lost languages and piecing together the fragments of a forgotten history. With each new discovery, her resolve only grew stronger. As Alara's findings began to take shape, she realized the true scale of what she had uncovered. Earth's advanced technologies and military capabilities far exceeded anything the current galaxy had ever witnessed. The implications were staggering. If these secrets were to be revealed, the delicate balance of power across the stars would be upended, potentially leading to catastrophic consequences. Torn between her thirst for knowledge and the weight of her responsibilities, Alara found herself at a crossroads. Should she keep her findings hidden, content with the current state of affairs, or should she risk everything to uncover the truth and potentially awaken a sleeping giant that could forever change the course of the galaxy? The decision weighed heavily on Alara's mind as she grappled with the ethical dilemmas and the far-reaching implications of her actions. She knew that whatever path she chose, it would have lasting consequences, not only for her own life, but for the future of her species and the entire galactic community. As Alara delved deeper into the mysteries of Earth, she realized that the answers she sought were not merely academic. They held the power to transform the very fabric of the galaxy, and the responsibility she now carried was one that she had never imagined shouldering. In the quiet moments of contemplation, Alara found herself torn between her sense of duty to her people and the allure of uncovering the long-lost secrets of their ancestral homeworld. The future hung in the balance, and Alara knew that her choices would echo through the ages, shaping the destiny of not only her own colony, but the entire human diaspora scattered across the stars. Alara's discoveries had awakened a burning desire within her to uncover the full truth about Earth, the long-forgotten homeworld of humanity. Undeterred by the warnings of her colleagues, she set out to assemble a small, elite crew to embark on a dangerous expedition to the ancient planet. Carefully selecting her team, Alara chose individuals with a diverse range of skills and expertise, from expert navigators and engineers to seasoned combat specialists. Together, they would face the challenges of traversing treacherous interstellar territories, evading detection, and overcoming immense obstacles to reach their ancestral home. As the crew prepared for their mission, they were acutely aware of the risks they were taking. The galactic powers, fearful of the potential implications of a rediscovered Earth, had long since established strict protocols to prevent any unauthorized expeditions to the planet. Alara and her team knew that a misstep could have catastrophic consequences, not only for their own lives, but for the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. Despite the dangers, the crew's determination only grew stronger. They pored over the ancient records, studying the maps and technologies that had been unearthed, searching for any advantage that could aid their journey. Alara, fueled by her thirst for knowledge and the desire to uncover the truth, became the driving force behind the expedition, her unwavering spirit inspiring the rest of the team. As the day of departure drew near, the crew made the final preparations, ensuring that their ship was equipped with the latest technology and capable of withstanding the rigors of the perilous journey. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with uncertainty, but the promise of uncovering the secrets of Earth's past filled them with a sense of purpose and excitement. When the time came, the crew embarked on their mission, navigating through the vast expanse of space, carefully avoiding the watchful eyes of the galactic authorities. The journey was arduous, with unexpected challenges and setbacks testing the limits of their resilience and resourcefulness. Finally, after weeks of arduous travel, the crewed ship emerged from the depths of space, and their eyes widened in awe as they laid sight upon their ancestral homeworld. The planet, once a distant memory, now stood before them in all its splendor, its surface unmarred by the passage of time. As they descended to the planet's surface, the crew was struck by the pristine condition of Earth, a testament to the advanced technologies and civilizations that had once thrived there. They explored the abandoned cities, marveling at the remnants of a bygone era, and delved into ancient archives that held the key to unlocking the mysteries of humanity's past. Yet the deeper they delved, the more apparent it became that Earth's power and potential far exceeded their initial expectations. The crew discovered advanced weapon systems, terraforming capabilities, and even hints of extraterrestrial contact, technologies that far surpassed anything the current galaxy had encountered. Alara and her team found themselves grappling with the immense responsibility that had been thrust upon them. They now held the knowledge and the means to potentially transform the balance of power across the stars, a realization that both thrilled and terrified them. As they prepared to depart Earth, the crew faced a critical decision. Should they keep the secrets of their ancestral homeworld hidden, maintaining the delicate status quo, or should they risk revealing its true power to the galaxy, potentially sparking a cataclysmic shift in the galactic order? The weight of this decision hung heavy on their minds, for they knew that whichever path they chose would have far-reaching consequences not only for their own lives, but for the future of humanity and the entire galaxy beyond. News of Earth's rediscovery spread quickly through the galaxy, sparking a flurry of activity as the major galactic powers converged on the long-forgotten homeworld. Each civilization, motivated by its own agenda, sought to secure a foothold on the planet and uncover the secrets that lay hidden within. Some sought to exploit Earth's vast resources and technological advancements, eager to harness its power for their own gain. Others, fearful of the implications, aimed to keep the planet under their strict control, preventing its inhabitants from regaining their former glory. And there were those who saw Earth as a threat, a sleeping giant that must be eliminated before it could awaken and upset the delicate balance of power. Alara and her crew, having returned from their expedition, found themselves at the center of this galactic maelstrom. They now possessed knowledge that could forever change the course of history, and the responsibility that came with it weighed heavily on their shoulders. As the various factions closed in, the crew was forced to make a choice. Would they keep Earth's secrets hidden, content to maintain the status quo, or would they risk the wrath of the galaxy and awaken the dormant power that lay within their ancestral homeworld? Alara, driven by a burning desire to uncover the full extent of Earth's capabilities, pushed her team to delve deeper into the ancient archives and technology they had discovered. They uncovered long-dormant systems and weapons that far surpassed anything the current galaxy had ever encountered, the power of which was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The crew found themselves caught in a delicate balancing act, fending off the aggressive advances of the galactic powers while carefully navigating the intricate web of politics and diplomacy. They knew that any misstep could trigger a cataclysmic conflict that could reshape the entire galaxy, and the weight of their decisions only grew heavier with each passing day. As the tension mounted, Alara and her team were forced to confront the true scope of Earth's potential. They realized that the power they now held could not only protect their homeworld, but also potentially dominate the entire galactic landscape, a prospect that both thrilled and horrified them. The crew grappled with the ethical implications of their actions, debating the merits of unleashing Earth's might versus maintaining a cautious, diplomatic approach. The stakes were high, and they knew that the consequences of their choices would echo through the ages, affecting not only their own lives, but the future of humanity and the entire galactic community. Amidst the growing chaos, Alara found herself torn between her desire to safeguard Earth's secrets and her belief that the planet's power could be used to bring about a new era of peace and prosperity. She knew that the decision they made would ultimately determine the fate of their homeworld and the entire galaxy beyond. As the various factions converged on Earth, the crew was forced to make a fateful choice. Would they surrender to the galactic powers and condemn their homeworld to perpetual obscurity? Or would they risk everything to awaken the sleeping giant and forever change the course of history? As news of Earth's rediscovery spread across the galaxy, the major powers moved swiftly, issuing a collective ultimatum to Alara and her crew. The message was clear: either the planet and its inhabitants remain isolated and under the constant surveillance of the galactic authorities, or face the dire consequences of their actions. Alara and her team found themselves faced with an agonizing decision. On one hand, they could succumb to the demands of the galactic powers, condemning their ancestral homeworld to perpetual obscurity and denying its people the chance to reclaim their rightful place in the cosmos. On the other, they could defy the ultimatum and risk the wrath of the very civilizations that now sought to control Earth's fate. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of the responsibility thrust upon the crew weighed heavily on their minds. They knew that their choice would not only determine the future of their homeworld, but could potentially spark a cataclysmic conflict that could reshape the entire galaxy. As the crew deliberated, tensions began to rise within their ranks. Some argued for caution, fearful of the consequences of provoking the galactic powers. Others, however, were driven by a burning desire to reclaim Earth's legacy and unleash its long-dormant might, convinced that this was the only way to ensure the survival and prosperity of their species. Alara, torn between her sense of duty and her conviction to uncover the truth, struggled to find a path forward that would satisfy both her own beliefs and the demands of the larger galactic community. She knew that any misstep could lead to the unthinkable, and the weight of this responsibility threatened to consume her. Amidst the growing discord, the crew found themselves confronted with another challenge: the dissent and mistrust that had begun to fester within their own ranks. As the stakes grew ever higher, some members questioned the direction and morality of their actions, doubting the wisdom of the decisions that had brought them to this pivotal moment. Alara, recognizing the need to maintain unity and resolve, worked tirelessly to bridge the growing divides, appealing to the shared sense of purpose and the responsibility they all carried. But the task proved daunting, as the forces arrayed against them seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. As the deadline for the galactic ultimatum drew near, the crew found themselves at a crossroads. They had to weigh the consequences of their actions, knowing that the decision they made would echo through the ages, forever shaping the destiny of their homeworld and the entire galaxy beyond. The future hung in the balance, and Alara knew that the choices they made in the coming days would not only determine the fate of Earth, but could potentially trigger a conflict of unimaginable scale and destruction. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of the responsibility they carried threatened to crush them. As the crew deliberated, The clock ticked on, and the pressure mounted. Alara and her team knew that the time for a final decision was rapidly approaching, and the outcome of their choice would reverberate across the stars, for better or for worse. Defying the ultimatum set forth by the galactic powers, Alara and her crew made the momentous decision to reactivate Earth's long-dormant defense systems and technology. As they did so, the true power of their ancestral homeworld began to manifest, shocking the entire galaxy. Vast fleets of advanced, sophisticated warships emerged from Earth's orbit, dwarfing the capabilities of the current galactic powers. Cutting-edge energy weapons, impenetrable shields, and revolutionary propulsion systems left the alien civilizations in a state of awe and fear. The crew, having witnessed the breathtaking display of Earth's might, found themselves at the center of a rapidly shifting galactic landscape. They now held the key to unlocking a level of power that had been lost to humanity for centuries, and the responsibility that came with it was both exhilarating and terrifying. Alara and her team quickly realized that the unveiling of Earth's true power had triggered a seismic shift in the balance of power across the stars. Smaller, less technologically advanced civilizations flocked to their homeworld, seeking protection and the opportunity to align themselves with the newly emergent galactic superpower. The larger, more established powers, however, were far less eager to accept this new reality. They viewed Earth's resurgence as a direct threat to their own dominance and began to mobilize their forces, preparing for a potential confrontation that could reshape the entire galaxy. Amidst the growing tensions, Alara and her crew found themselves navigating a treacherous diplomatic landscape, forging strategic alliances and deterring potential aggressors. They knew that the fate of their homeworld and the entire galactic community hung in the balance, and the decisions they made in the coming days would echo through the ages. As the crew worked tirelessly to manage the overwhelming responsibility of wielding Earth's formidable might, they were forced to confront the ethical implications of their actions. They grappled with the question of whether to use their newfound power for the greater good of the galaxy, or to succumb to the temptation of conquest and domination. The weight of this decision weighed heavily on Alara and her team, for they understood that the path they chose would not only determine the future of their own species, but could also have far-reaching consequences for the entire galactic community. Tensions continued to escalate as the other powers sought to undermine Earth's influence, and Alara found herself at the center of a delicate balancing act. She knew that a single misstep could trigger a cataclysmic conflict, and the responsibility of safeguarding her homeworld's interests while maintaining the fragile peace threatened to consume her. As the crew navigated the treacherous political landscape, they were also forced to confront the internal strife that had begun to emerge within their own ranks. The immense power they now wielded had brought with it a new set of challenges, as some members questioned the direction and morality of their actions. Alara, recognizing the need for unity and resolve, worked tirelessly to maintain the cohesion of her team, appealing to their shared sense of purpose and the importance of their mission. But the task proved increasingly difficult as the pressure from the galactic powers mounted, and the consequences of their decisions became ever more apparent. With the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, Alara and her crew knew that the coming days would be a true test of their resolve and their ability to navigate the shifting sands of galactic politics. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The unveiling of Earth's might had irrevocably changed the course of history, and the crew now found themselves at the center of a whirlwind that threatened to reshape the entire cosmos. The unveiling of Earth's immense power had triggered a seismic shift in the balance of power across the galaxy. Smaller, less technologically advanced civilizations, awestruck by the capabilities of Alara's homeworld, flocked to its side, seeking protection and the opportunity to align themselves with the newly emergent superpower. For the larger, more established galactic powers, the realization that Earth's might may eclipse their own was a sobering one. They found themselves forced to reconsider their long-standing strategies and alliances, as the threat of losing their dominance loomed large on the horizon. Alara and her crew, now at the center of this rapidly shifting galactic landscape, found themselves navigating a treacherous diplomatic landscape. They were tasked with forging strategic partnerships, deterring potential aggressors, and ensuring that Earth's power was used for the greater good of the galaxy, rather than for conquest or domination. The challenges they faced were multifaceted and complex. On one hand, smaller civilizations eagerly sought the protection and technological advancements that Earth could offer, seeing it as a means to secure their own prosperity and independence. On the other, the larger powers viewed this shift as a direct threat to their well-established order, and they began to mobilize their forces, determined to maintain their grip on the galaxy. Alara and her team knew that the decisions they made in the coming days would not only determine the fate of their homeworld, but could also have far-reaching consequences for the entire galactic community. They were acutely aware that a misstep could ignite a conflict of unimaginable scale, one that could potentially reshape the very foundations of the cosmos. As the crew navigated this delicate diplomatic landscape, they were forced to confront their own doubts and fears. They grappled with the ethical implications of wielding such immense power, questioning whether they had the wisdom and foresight to wield it responsibly. Tensions within the team began to rise as well, as some members expressed concerns about the direction of their actions, fearful of the consequences that might arise from aligning Earth with certain factions or engaging in overt displays of power. Alara, recognizing the need for unity and resolve, worked tirelessly to maintain the cohesion of her crew, appealing to their shared sense of purpose and the responsibility they all carried. The pressure mounted with each passing day as the larger galactic powers continued to maneuver and posture, seeking to undermine Earth's growing influence. Alara and her team knew that they were walking a fine line, balancing the needs and desires of their homeworld with the delicate web of galactic politics. As they made strategic decisions, forging alliances and deterring potential aggressors, the crew found themselves grappling with the weight of their actions. They understood that the course they charted would not only shape the future of Earth, but could also have far-reaching implications for the entire galactic community. The future hung in the balance, and Alara knew that the choices they made in the coming days would echo through the ages, determining whether Earth's power would be a force for good or a catalyst for a cataclysmic conflict that could forever alter the fabric of the galaxy. As Earth's influence and power continued to grow, Alara and her crew found themselves faced with a moral dilemma of unprecedented scale. They now had the means to directly intervene in the affairs of other civilizations across the galaxy. But should they? The pleas for aid from oppressed populations, struggling under the yoke of tyrannical regimes, echoed through the stars. These cries for help tugged at the heartstrings of the crew, who knew that the power of Earth could be used to liberate these downtrodden peoples and usher in a new era of justice and prosperity. Yet the decision to intervene was not a simple one. Alara and her team were acutely aware of the potential consequences of their actions, both on the delicate balance of power in the galaxy and on the well-being of the populations they sought to help. They grappled with the ethical implications of wielding such immense influence, questioning whether the ends could truly justify the means. What if their intervention, however well-intentioned, sparked a chain reaction of unintended consequences, a conflict that could engulf the entire galaxy in chaos and bloodshed? The crew also had to consider the pragmatic realities of galactic politics. The larger powers, already wary of Earth's growing influence, would undoubtedly view any act of intervention as a direct challenge to their authority. Alara knew that even the most benevolent of actions could be twisted and used as a pretext for retaliation, threatening the very survival of their homeworld. As the crew deliberated, the weight of their responsibilities only seemed to grow heavier. They were torn between their ideals of justice and their pragmatic need to preserve the fragile balance of power that had maintained a tenuous peace across the stars. Alara, ever the pragmatist, recognized the need to tread carefully, lest they inadvertently spark a cataclysmic conflict that could consume the entire galaxy. Yet, her heart ached for the suffering she witnessed, and she knew that the power of Earth could be a force for good if wielded with wisdom and restraint. The crew's internal debates grew increasingly heated as they grappled with the morality of their actions. Some argued passionately for intervention, convinced that it was their duty to use Earth's might to liberate the oppressed. Others, more cautious, warned of the dangers of upsetting the delicate status quo, fearful of the unintended consequences that could arise. Alara found herself caught in the middle, her resolve tested by the competing demands of her conscience and the practical realities of their position. She knew that the decision they made would not only shape the future of Earth, but could also determine the fate of countless lives across the galaxy. As the pressure mounted and the cries for help grew ever louder, Alara and her crew were forced to confront the harsh truth that the power they wielded was a double-edged sword, capable of both great good and devastating harm. The responsibility of wielding it wisely had never been more apparent, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. As Earth's presence and influence grew more prominent across the galaxy, Alara and her crew found themselves faced with a reckoning, a confrontation with the consequences of their actions and the decisions they had made. The weight of their responsibilities had taken a heavy toll, both on the crew's unity and their own personal convictions. Internal discord and dissent began to emerge as some members questioned the direction and morality of their actions, doubting the wisdom of the path they had chosen. Some argued that Earth's power had corrupted them, turning them into the very type of galactic overlords they had sought to oppose. Others maintained that their actions had been necessary, that the preservation of their homeworld and its people had to take precedence over lofty ideals. Alara, ever the steadfast leader, found herself caught in the middle of these heated debates, struggling to maintain the cohesion of her team and the clarity of their shared purpose. She knew that the cracks in their resolve could prove catastrophic, potentially undermining their ability to navigate the treacherous political landscape that lay ahead. At the same time, the other galactic powers, fearing the growing influence of Earth, began to mobilize their forces, setting the stage for a potential showdown that could reshape the entire galaxy. The crew knew that they were walking a fine line, balancing the needs and desires of their homeworld with the delicate web of galactic politics. Alara and her team were forced to confront the harsh reality that their actions had not gone unnoticed. The larger powers, threatened by Earth's ascendance, had been carefully monitoring their every move, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The pressure mounted as the crew realized that the reckoning they now faced was not just an internal one, but one that threatened to engulf the entire galaxy. They knew that the choices they made in the coming days would not only determine the fate of their homeworld, but could also have far-reaching consequences for the very fabric of the cosmos. Torn between their principles and the pragmatic realities of their position, Alara and her crew found themselves at a crossroads. They had to decide whether to continue their course, wielding Earth's power in pursuit of their ideals, or whether to make difficult concessions in an effort to maintain the fragile peace. The weight of their responsibilities grew heavier with each passing day, as they grappled with the consequences of their actions and the looming threat of a galaxy-spanning conflict. Alara knew that the decisions they made in the coming days would echo through the ages, shaping the destiny of not only their homeworld, but the entire galactic community. As the crew confronted this reckoning, they were forced to confront their own doubts, fears, and the true extent of the responsibility they carried. The future hung in the balance, and the legacy of Earth's rediscovered power would be etched into the annals of history, for better or for worse. As tensions reached a boiling point across the galaxy, Alara and her crew found themselves faced with a final, fateful decision. They had reached the crossroads where their principles and the pragmatic realities of their position collided, forcing them to choose between upholding their ideals and preserving the delicate balance of the galaxy, or unleashing the full might of Earth to ensure the survival and prosperity of their homeworld and its people. The clash of ideologies, the threat of annihilation, and the weight of their responsibilities converge, pushing the crew to the brink. They were forced to confront their own doubts, fears, and the consequences of their actions, all while navigating the treacherous political landscape and the looming threat of a galaxy-spanning conflict. Alara, her once unwavering resolve now tested by the gravity of the situation, knew that the decision they made would not only shape the future of Earth, but could also have far-reaching implications for the entire galactic community. The fate of countless lives hung in the balance, and the legacy of humanity's rediscovered power would be etched into the annals of history. The larger galactic powers, sensing the crew's vulnerability, ratcheted up the pressure, issuing ultimatums and deploying their forces in a show of strength. They were determined to maintain their grip on the established order, and they were willing to risk everything to prevent Earth from upsetting the delicate balance of power. Alara and her team found themselves caught in the middle, forced to weigh the consequences of their actions with the survival of their homeworld at stake. Should they capitulate to the demands of the galactic powers, condemning Earth and its people to perpetual obscurity and subjugation? Or should they defy the odds and unleash the full force of their ancestral power, regardless of the potential cost? The burden of this decision weighed heavily on the crew, as they grappled with the ethical implications and the far-reaching consequences of their actions. They knew that the path they chose would echo through the ages, determining not only the fate of Earth, but the very future of the galaxy itself. As the ultimatums grew more dire, and the threat of annihilation loomed ever closer, Alara and her team found themselves at the precipice of a final reckoning. They had to confront their own doubts, their fears, and the true extent of the responsibility they carried, all while navigating a landscape fraught with political landmines and the ever-present possibility of catastrophic conflict. In the end, the crew's decision would determine the course of not only their own lives, but the destiny of countless civilizations across the stars. The future hung in the balance, and the weight of their choices threatened to crush them under the sheer magnitude of their consequences. As the crew deliberated, the clock ticked on, and the pressure mounted. Alara knew that the time for a final decision was rapidly approaching, and the outcome of their choice would reverberate across the galaxy, for better or for worse. The fate of Earth and the entire galactic community rested squarely on their shoulders, and they could no longer afford to hesitate. With the weight of the world upon them, Alara and her crew steeled themselves for the final reckoning, knowing that the path they chose would indelibly shape the course of history. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the legacy of Earth's rediscovered power would be forged in the crucible of this pivotal moment, and the consequences would echo through the ages.